Okay, so as a coach, you know that moment, the teachable moment. You've got the perfect piece of feedback, it's technically spot on, but what happens when it just falls flat? Today, we're going to break down a really crucial skill that helps make sure your coaching actually connects with your players, especially when the pressure's on. So here's our game plan. We're going to start with a problem every single coach knows all too well, the unteachable moment. Then we'll dig into the science of why that actually happens. After that, we'll introduce the solution, which is called connection over correction. And I'll walk you through a simple 4-step playbook you can start using right away, including some specific drills you can run on the court. All right, let's kick things off with section 1, the unteachable moment. We're going to set the scene here with a scenario that is probably going to feel, pretty familiar to just about every coach out there. So you see the mistake, right? You know the exact fix. You give the correction. Hey, drop your shoulder or read the play earlier. But instead of seeing that adjustment, you get slumped shoulders, they're looking at the floor, maybe even a flash of frustration. The player just seems to check out, and the skill you're trying to fix actually gets worse. So what is going on there? This right here, this is that moment. And the key thing to get is that this isn't about your athlete being defiant or not listening to you. It's about biology. In those high-stress moments, a totally accurate and well-intentioned correction can be interpreted by the brain as a social threat, which kicks off a really powerful and unhelpful physiological response. So to really wrap our heads around this, we need to kind of pop the hood and look at what's happening inside an athlete's brain when they're feeling that pressure. And this visual shows you exactly what we're talking about. Over on the left, you've got the brain in what's called a threat response. Its alarm system is basically going off, and it's prioritizing survival above all else. In this state, an athlete literally cannot process complex instructions. But on the right, that's our goal, a calm brain in a learned state. Here, the thinking part of the brain is online, ready to take in your feedback and execute skills. Which brings us to this absolutely crucial point. Regulation precedes instruction. You have to say that one to yourself a few times. It means an athlete's emotional and physical state has to be stable before they can learn or apply a correction. You could have the best coaching cue in the world, but if the athlete isn't regulated, it's like shouting instructions into a house while the fire alarm is blaring. No one's going to hear you. And this quote just nails it. Connection is not sentimental. It is biological access to skill. Just let that sink in for a second. This idea completely reframes connection. It's not some soft, fluffy, nice-to-have skill. It is a strategic tool. It's the key that literally turns off the brain's alarm system and gives your athletes access to the part of their brain that runs the show. Okay, so if the problem is a biological response, then our solution has to work with our biology, not fight against it. And that solution is a skill we call connection over correction. Now, the definition is pretty simple, but the sequence is everything. It's the skill of intentionally making sure an athlete feels safe, seen, and connected to the team before you try to fix their form. It's not about skipping the correction, it's about clearing the channel so the correction can actually get through. And let's be super clear about what this is and what it isn't, because a lot of people get this wrong. Connection over correction is not about being soft or lowering your standards. No way. In fact, it's the opposite. It's a high-performance skill that puts physiology first. It builds the kind of trust that allows you to hold your athletes accountable because they know your feedback is coming from a place of support, not judgment. Okay, so we've got the what and the why. Now let's get to the good stuff, the how. Let's build this out into an actionable playbook you can use. And here it is, the whole playbook mapped out. Now look at the 2 cycles here. On the left, that's the vicious cycle of correction first, which just leads to more distance and things unraveling. But on the right, that's the goal, the virtuous cycle. Here, you lead with connection to get everyone settled before you give the correction. And the result, you get resilience and much, much faster recovery. So here are the 4 steps. First, just pause. Take a breath. This breaks the athlete's automatic stress spiral. Second, offer a human signal to reestablish that feeling of safety. This is the connection part. It could be a simple nod, steady eye contact, a quick "we're okay." Third, after you see them settle, you give one short, clean, actionable fix. And finally, you end it with confidence, sending them back into the game ready for the next play. And look, this doesn't have to be some long, drawn-out therapy session. In a loud gym, that connection signal has to be fast. Short verbal cues like "I'm here" or "same team," they work wonders. But you know what's even more powerful? The nonverbals. A simple nod, a calm look, or a palm down gesture that just says settle. These tiny little cues can regulate an athlete in seconds. All right, section 5, putting it into practice. Because like any other skill in volleyball, this has to be trained. You can't just talk about it in a huddle. You have to build it into the muscle memory of your team with on-court drills. The goal of these drills is to build what the source material calls a relational nervous system. I love that phrase. It basically means you're training your team to regulate each other, to get back in sync emotionally, even faster than they can fix their technique. So let's look at 2 specific drills to help you do that. The first one is the partner regulation circuit. It's simple. Players get in pairs, they run simple reps. But here's the twist. The real goal isn't perfect passes. The goal is for each player to notice when their partner gets tense. A tight jaw, a frustrated sigh after a shank. And their job isn't to critique the pass, it's to offer a quick connection cue, a nod, eye contact, a quick, you're good. It builds that critical skill of awareness and repair. Okay, next you can scale this up with the small group synchrony drill. Now you're in groups of 3 or 4. Before each rally, one player is responsible for giving a connection cue to the whole group. It could be a verbal, here we go, or something nonverbal, like showing open hands. This teaches the whole team that regulation is contagious. One calm, grounded player can settle the whole group and set the emotional tone for the next point. And really, this is what it all comes down to. Skill is going to win you individual points, for sure. But connection is what allows a team to shake off mistakes, to bounce back from a bad call, and to keep fighting together. Connection wins momentum. And we all know, in volleyball, momentum is everything. If this playbook sounds like something you want to explore more, you can find a lot more information at flowmpc.com. And the full mental performance and skills system guides for both athletes and coaches are available over on Amazon. So I'll just leave you with this question. What's one small connection cue you can start using tomorrow to change the climate of your court?